Engine start now. 3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us?
Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Good evening, travelers and those alike. Welcome to the Orion Effect. I am the quintessential cosmic server of the universe, the Hitman.
And I am Rhonda Dowdy.
I say hi. Hi, I'm Lorilei Potvin, the host. Not on the R.I.F.T network, UPRN.
And I am David Hanzel.
Welcome to our family gathering. It looks like a big family. I feel like the Paranormal Partridge family.
I was thinking Brady Bunch, but Partridge family works too.
The Brady Bunch.
We'll go with that. Hey, Keith, how are you? I want to say hello. Hello. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in. Please, if you have not already, there is a link. Woo! Sorry, y'all. My throat's healing. If you're new to Restream, please go to the hyperlink above that says HTTPS chat.restream. That allows us to see you and allows Restream permission to use your profile on tonight's show so we can see your name. So, Lorilei, Dave, welcome to the family. Oh,
sorry.
Lorilei, Dave.
Lorilei.
Lorilei.
Yeah.
Did I do Lorilei again?
It's okay.
I
Just
did.
call me Lore.
Yeah,
call me
Lore.
Lore.
We're going to go that way because I got two of y'all and you almost spell it the same way, but you say it differently.
Just call me Lore. That's what I tell everybody. Lor. It's easy to remember because my name is spelled so incredibly strange. It's so hard to remember how to say it.
Sounds good to me. It makes it
David,
easy.
we got you covered.
Hi, Rhonda. Nice to meet you. And
Nice
what
to
I want to
meet you.
add, I don't want to sound like I'm stuck up about it. It's just when people hear it, then they keep thinking it's right. So that's why I just say it once. I'll never say it again.
I love that.
My name is pronounced Dave, so that's easy.
Dave. Hey, Dave. They're not here, man.
No. It's Devad, not Dave. It's Devad. No, I'm kidding.
I like that. So, welcome, travelers and those like. You can hear my voice is a little crackled. I do apologize. I'm going to try to talk as much as I can. I am working on a cup of honey and rum, which is legal. Okay, it's good. But I've been having a problem with my throat since Lore's smoking us down here.
I have no smoke. I'm the Canadian here. And even people, I'm 6.5 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm in Thunder Bay, Ontario. And
You're in the
people,
other.
even in Southern Ontario, Toronto, message me, do you guys have smoke? And thankfully, no.
Y'all suck.
It just finally, like in the last 3 days, got here where I am.
Really?
Yeah, you
Oh,
can't.
really?
Yeah, they just have air quality alerts everywhere, but that's about it. You
Yeah,
can't.
Rhonda and I live in the same place. We're in Richmond, Virginia, and it's gotten us about 2 or 3 times, and it really started to get to my sinuses finally. So
That's weird how it went because I'm in North Carolina, so I'm before. Well, no, you guys are before me.
we're before you.
Yeah, we had it pretty bad last weekend. It was pretty thick around here.
Yeah, And then a week prior to that, it was really bad. It
Mhm.
was like it came in waves. It's weird how that wind, trade winds will move things around. So, yeah, it's finally gotten to me.
I was gonna wear a hat, Howie, and I thought no, because I know you wear your hat. So
You should have worn your hat.
right
I
back
got
there, right back there.
I got Rhonda a pirate hat, and she had another hat. But I was like, okay, I'll have to do a pirate show one night.
Yeah.
Dave, we need to get you a hippie hat.
I
We need
do.
to
I
get
mean,
you an African.
I've actually got some cool steampunk stuff, but yeah, I know.
Can't hide David's hair. Everybody goes
Yeah,
on
but
David's hair. We were
then
joking on Thursday
I got
night
so much
that
freaking hair. I don't know what to do with it.
I know he said David needs to get his own hair care products. We were doing a shout out to L'Oreal.
Right? I agree, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I took all of his promo pictures. I'm like, there's none of him of the way that he looks right now. And I'm like, what am I gonna? Well, they'll be surprised.
Yeah, this grew in the last year. Actually, my hair now looks exactly like it did when I was 18.
Wow.
I don't know how that happened. Just kind of, full circle.
I wish mine did.
You look just as cool, Howie.
No, actually, people, when you have no hair and you look good, I wish I looked really good without hair because I would shave this stuff off because it's so much. It's so hard to do stuff all the time. But I look stupid. I really do.
I feel you. Luckily, I have that perfect round head that since '94.
Well, people can't see this, but my hair is all the way down my back.
Good Lord, woman. Rock on. Everybody's turning and going, are we dealing with
It doesn't
hair
look
today?
that way because it's shorter in the front, but it's all the way down my back.
Business up front, pleasure in the back. I know what it is.
Yeah.
It's not a mullet.
Sorry, y'all. This is how we are when we get together.
We'll time travel. We'll go back to mullet days.
No.
No,
No.
please let's not.
No, I had mullets. I'm done with the mullet.
I was
Yeah.
No more.
Get done with it. I don't think I
Yeah.
could grow it. Well, I would. It'd be a unicorn or a horseshoe mullet, but no, I'm no Hulk Hogan. I'm not pulling that crap off.
And you don't do the comb over either. So you know how you look
No.
good the way you are.
I'm
No.
just gonna grow mine long enough to get one of those man buns, and I'm gonna look in the mirror and scold myself for putting in a man bun.
Actually, you guys, yes, because I know Keith. I've had Keith on my own show. He goes, nothing wrong with mullets. Just
That's
saying.
right.
And I know why he said it.
There-
Looks good on you, Keith.
And I want to say hello to Kim Sage, one of our hostesses here on the network, and she is a medium that works with Rhonda. So acknowledging her. Hello, Ellen Lois. Here, she's another Virginian. Welcome.
Lois, let's give Lois a belated happy birthday down in South Carolina, partying up the last 2 weeks.
That's right. Happy traveler's birthday to you. Oh yeah. That's as good as it gets, sweetheart. I can't get anywhere. So, some people may be asking, you're welcome. Some people may be asking, why do we name the show The Forbidden Door? Well, this is a subject that's just now in the last couple years actually kind of calming and relaxing people more and more communicative. Spirituality is growing. People are accepting it. But what we're going to be actually discussing tonight is communication from one end to the other and from us them and what we miss. What do we miss from communication? And Laura, I heard you the other night when you were saying that you also are an NDE, but when you were a child.
As a toddler, yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'm an NDE, and Dave, I'll get that right. Dave's an NDE. In fact, he has a magnificent article. Yes, I'm going to pump you a little bit, brother. Sorry. He has a magnificent article on Microsoft News, which is also MSN. Check that out. It's a wonderful article. I enjoyed it immensely, which is another reason what kind of hooked me into doing the show tonight. I constantly watch their show, and their show is on a different network at a different time, so I want them to plug it real quick.
do you want me to do it,
Lori.
Dave? I knew Dave would. Okay, so I'm on my 4th year anniversary on United Public Radio Network.
Happy
This
anniversary.
thank you. This week, also known as UFO Paranormal Radio Network, we broadcast out of New Orleans, Louisiana. And our show, which is a newer show we started right after the new year, is called The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. And David and I co-host. We do not have guests, but I'm also going to give my show a quick plug. That's the one that Keith was on, and I need to have Howie on, definitely. So it's called The Angel Rock on Monday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Same network. So thank you for having us. Dave lets me handle this stuff. He's still learning it, right, Dave?
Yeah, there's. I can barely remember my name half the time, so I don't even know what network I'm on anymore.
Well, with that, and Rhonda, come on, girl. We don't usually get this chance. Promote yourself. Get yourself out there. Whoa, juju.
There's nothing really. I mean, I do the Orion Effect. Now and then I will guest host on the freaking awesome paranormal show when Ryan will have me and Austin has other things to do. And then I am a psychic medium. I do more tarot readings now than anything, and I'm a Reiki master.
Oh,
And
we're
it's
going to
fun
have to
to
connect
share.
then too. We're
Huh?
going to have to connect then too, because you're the kind of guests. I have
Oh,
guests,
cool.
all different kinds of guests on Monday night, but definitely guests like you and Howie.
Hey,
Awesome.
Michelle.
Awesome.
Hi, Michelle.
Michelle's in
Nice
the
to
house.
be
Whoop,
here.
whoop.
Australia in the house.
That's right. We get the
Nice.
world. It's around the world. And for those who may be tuning in that are not familiar with my network, with the Rift, or with Rhonda and I, my name is E. Howie Odell, or Ed, which we are embracing now.
I always call you Howie.
I know, and it's
Switch Howie.
okay. Yeah, I will always be Howie, but I'm kind of embracing my first name now, which is kind of cool.
It
I've
was
never
kind of a
done.
forced thing, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, forced. You know what? Right? It was forced. I would agree with you, Rhonda.
It was.
But you know what? That was in the past. This is now. And I'm not even worrying about the past anymore. I took care of that last night. Done. So, I'm always Howie to my closest friends. But I created the Rift. Wow, we're going on our 8th anniversary this year, along with Shayla Gay, God rest her soul. We've changed this style about 3 times, and we were on Blog Talk, and we left Blog Talk because it was a real pain in the butt. We just got tired of it. And I got together with our new network promoter director, if you will, Susan Swanback, what we call Raven, Mama Raven. And we designed the whole new, what you see now, vidcasting. I feel like vidcasting is going to be a really big market in the future. So I want to get a hold of what's coming and leave what wasn't behind. So I'm a paranormal investigator researcher. I'm affiliated with ASSAP. I've been raised into the spiritual and the paranormal. I am the director of ASAP, or ASPS, All Seeing Paranormal Society, along with Ryan, who we just spoke of Vibe Network, and with Rhonda and a few others. The unique part about this team, it's a conglomerate of mini teams. So I want to know, I'm not sure what the word I want to use, but at this point, I'm very satisfied with this members from all different types and kind of made like this all-star team. I'm really happy with it. We don't promote much, but we're just starting to get the footwork off the ground. So welcome. And that's a little bit about me.
Do we tell you about ourselves, who we are then? Because
Yes,
we're not just
please.
podcast hosts. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
I'm
get
going
our.
to let David go first since I spoke up about our network, put him on the spot.
I'm David Hanzel. I studied at Juilliard. No, I didn't. I'm a spiritual medium. I started talking to guides and everything on the side when I was a very little young boy. All kinds of weird things happened. I had my near death in 2015. I am a spiritual medium, however you want to label it. I do Reiki, I do channeling, I do angel channeling, and I do healing. I do all kinds of stuff. I love cards too, but I don't read tarot. I read oracle. I do have tarot decks, but I love my oracle decks. I just love them. I've got a billion of them, but it's funny. I usually only use one deck.
And you have Mystic Stew and
I
TikTok.
have a podcast called Mystic Stew. It is pre-recorded. It is not live. You can find it pretty much anywhere. They're short form. So if you have a short attention span and you want to learn about something, that's probably the way to go. Because it may be about 20 minutes, 10 minutes long. It's almost like a vlog. So
And he's got a huge following on TikTok that you
I,
answer.
I don't like to talk about. Yeah, I do have a rather large following on TikTok, and I don't know why. No, I do. I know
I know
exactly.
why.
I know exactly why.
We know why. Don't
Yeah.
even.
All I do is answer questions on TikTok, and I have a YouTube channel called The Spirit Experience. I've got a lot of stuff. I didn't realize.
And we
so
go
much stuff
live
I
on your
had.
TikTok because you have the audience. So we try and do it the night before the day of on Thursdays.
Yeah, we do.
Right?
We usually go live on my channel on Wednesday nights. And
Yeah.
like last night, I went live and promoted the show, and then I did some. I do readings for free on TikToks. Never mediumship readings though. I don't do mediumship readings on platforms such as social media and all that because
Why?
yeah, it's just too much, and I don't. I'm a evidential medium, like most of us are. If I don't have the evidence in front of me, I'm not going to give the message. So I need to
And
know.
I'm Lorilei Potvin again. I am a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, and mentor. And I'm also a registered nurse. I'm also very well versed in the paranormal NDEs as well. I've studied them for over 40 years professionally as well as personally. What do I want to say about this? I got lost my train of thought. Oh, the paranormal. Very well versed in the paranormal. It found us. We weren't looking for it. My partner's been thrown 15 feet across the kitchen in our previous home, bitten, burnt, scratched, with much evidence taken to document it. And we've shared our experience on Paranormal Survivor Season 4, Episode 9, called Demonic Hauntings. It's quite a story. I also have two groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, the Angel Rock for many of the spiritual type of things, teaching. I don't do too many readings in there, but also talking. I'm very passionate about the power of the mind and our thoughts, our emotions, and healing. And I have a YouTube channel too called The Angel Rock. I think that's everything.
And the ironic thing is, through all of this, through working with you guys, I had said something to you, Lore, about a week ago, how our children are very much alike.
Yeah, you
I
said
look forward to discussing that too, because I had talked to her about it. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. She's like, well, we got to talk. I'm like, yep, we will talk. So we will definitely talk, but there's a lot of connections that's bringing that to
You
this.
know what's happening though, and Rhonda, I don't know if you find this. I know Dave and I have talked about this, and Howie, I know you're going to agree. But it's almost like in the last few years what we've been through, and I know where we're streaming, so I won't name it. But where I'm going with this is, it's almost like if we want to name the buzzword light worker, right? We're hearing that. It's
Yeah.
almost like that these lights out here, people that are doing the type of work we are, and I'm not saying it from a pedestal, basically,
No.
but we're
Thanks,
working
Sherry.
within field, and people are finding us like-minded people. And like you said, I've known you how many years, Howie, and I didn't know that our kids had so many similarities.
Wow. I don't even recall. It's been a long time. We've been communicating back and forth for years, but it is interesting. That's why I brought it up. Is like we connect with people, but we don't really get to know them until we start to get a little closer and see how they tick, and then like you see how you all can come together and the different similarities in our lives.
Yes. Yes.
You know.
Well, guys, when I was really younger, and this stuck with me my entire life. I believe it was maybe around 10ish, 11ish, and I was here, And one day I was just sitting there, and I was trying to write some little poetry like a 10-year-old would, and my guide said to me something. He just said straight out. He said, "Throughout the many faces lies the traces of our own," and I went, "What?" And it took me years to understand, and it's exactly what you guys were saying. Throughout the many faces, we all have stuff in common. We're all one another. We all have things, and those people tend to gravitate like a magnet and get together somehow. We find each other. It's really quite interesting, I think.
I agree. I totally agree with you on that, Dave, because there's a lot to the 6 degrees of separation. That whole
I'm sorry.
theological what I do.
I'm laughing because about we pulled out Kevin Bacon's picture
Oh no,
from.
don't,
I'm
please
not
don't.
pulling it out, but when you said 6 degrees, I was
Ah, good
laughing
point.
because Dave
Ron,
and I did that. You'll have to check out the episode. I won't bring it up, but you'll have to
please
check it out.
don't.
It's pretty funny.
It's Ron, you guys see it. It's pretty elephantitis. We'll just go that way.
I wasn't going to pull it out here. I just, when you're
God,
saying 6 degrees of separation, right?
yeah,
Versus saying 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon, right?
yeah. I don't know. That's like 12 to 14. That's some messed up stuff, man. Man needs to get snipped, is all I'm saying. Anyway,
I wasn't even going to say that part.
sorry. You can see us laughing a lot tonight. I'm sure. I'm hoping. But I also want to like to introduce everybody to my brother Robert Odell, who's on now on YouTube. He goes
Hi,
by
Robert.
Kenny, but he too is embracing his first name Robert. He's Robert Kenny. I'm Edson Howard. We're both named after our grandfather Edson Kenny Odell, who is the writer of the Romance of Pocahontas. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so, get a little props out there. You know.
Very cool.
So in this, we're seeing spiritual connections, not even in the spirit world, but in the physical world. And I'm glad we're all seeing that connections. And something Ron and I talked about, sometimes you get pulled away to come back together because you have your own journeys, your own learnings, and then you can come back and put it together. And it turns into a beautiful display of an amazing spiritual object. I don't even want to use a word. I just want to say spiritual object because you can't define it. It's undefinable. So, with that being said, um, I really wanted to do this show. Mainly, some of it is personal, and I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'm not going to be egotistical about it. But um, about a month ago, someone in my life had passed away. My child's mother.
I'm sorry.
Oh, she's in a better place. We all know that. But thank you. But it was because she was in the paranormal too. And she knew signs and delivery and how to get my attention and let me know things were going on. So I'm like, y'all were having a show about communication at the time. And when I saw that show, I'm like, y'all have to be on this show. I want to do this show with you two. I mean, to have Rhonda here, all four of us, because we've all encountered these amazing things. When it comes to NDE, there's experiences with that. There's experiences like Rhonda's experiences when she was a child growing up. Laura, your experiences when you were a child, and like Dave was just talking about. So there's spiritual with the physical that's connecting. And Einstein and Tesla both said, you're not going to understand the paranormal until you understand the spirituality and the science, and you're able to communicate them together. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So,
100%.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, science and spirituality is coming together. It's supposed to come together. Although the funny thing is, I was doing a lot of this. People had asked me about other worlds and stuff, and I mean I won't go too deep into it without explanation. But you know how we have the laws of the universe and so on and so forth. Every planetary system around the logos, which is their sun, whatever, pretty much has the same one law they all have in common is the law of one. But I always tell people I have found, heard, and kind of experienced physics here only applies here. It doesn't apply the same place in every other planet.
That's true.
Planetary system, which is really quite odd. But the physicality of things do. So, like our science has to come together with our spirituality, and when it does, actually, that's going to expand our science. I think even scientists, once that happens, are going to go, "Oh my gosh, there's all this extra stuff we missed."
Mhm.
That's because the two. It's like the dark crystal. The two together have to become one.
Yes.
It's like they split off. If everybody's everything, the dark crystal, the Skeksis and the mystics, and that's I think exactly what happened here. And we all got split apart. And if you ever seen the dark crystal, what's happening today is the same thing that's happening in the dark
Yes.
crystal. where the evil people are trying to stay evil, the good people are just trying to get it all together, and eventually they're going to come back together and become one again. And that's, I think, is what the science and spirituality is. Once it becomes one again, there's going to be way more to it on both ends.
I'm going to build on that a little bit, though, like what you were saying, Dave, that there's no need for science on off worlds or as
No, there's
or
need for it, but it's just
or
different.
back
Yeah.
home. And anytime I connect with spirit, I always hear we are a young race that we've chosen. Obviously, I believe we've chosen to all be here. None of us are here by accident, but it's almost like we've chosen. And from what I've connected from the other side, what you hear from people when you talk to them about their near death experiences and what have you, that people are lined up, souls I should say, not people, souls are lined up on the other side to come here because we come here with spiritual amnesia. Most of us, we come in these dense, heavy, fragile bodies. The depth and level of emotion that we can experience, and there's so much room to grow. I mean, I keep hearing it called earth school, and it is. And but we're a young race, and being a young race, and eons behind some of the more advanced races that are out there, that I think that we've got to start somewhere. So even when I began in this, I wasn't looking for the paranormal. I would say it found me. And I think probably for most of us, we've got to base it on something, right? Something that we
Yeah.
understand and we have a basis with. And I think that that's why the two are married. And I agree, they do need to come together as one.
What do you think, Rhonda?
I have to say I agree with Laura. I mean, that's kind of how I haven't really done a lot of work with kind of working with spirit to kind of get those kind of answers, but I feel much the same way.
Hmm. However you get them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm glad, I'm glad you said it, and I'm glad you two are here, because that's where I wanted to get from, Rhonda's point of view with this, and in our little family we got going on here, paranormal Brady Bunch thing here,
I
is
like that.
how um, I've known her for a very long time, but I've seen that potential in her, and getting her to come out and listen and talk and gathering, because it's always wonderful to have new thought and hear
Oh,
what others have to say, and hearing her point comparatively to back then, and that's why I love to hear her talk sometimes, because it's like you can watch her, like she'll do little things when she's paying attention, like she'll do that, and she's like, I'm listening. What am I going to gather from what you're saying?
right.
And I feed off of that. That's one of the things we have to learn, is how to understand each other, how we communicate physically and mentally, and now we're projecting it on a spiritual level. we always click in a different way.
And
So
then you hear that cliche that's out there that we're all just walking each other back home. And that's what I call it on the other side. Not that I'm telling people you have to call it home, but for me, that's what I call it. And I always say when I'm doing a reading, it doesn't matter if someone claims they're an atheist or they only believe in the universe or whatever they practice, that's
I
fine. But we all
understand.
have a belief,
Mhm.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So,
Exactly.
mhm.
Belief systems are important though, no matter what it is, because people always, they'll ask certain people, like, why are you an atheist, or why are you a Baptist, or why are you Jehovah's Witness, or why are you this, why are you that? Well, there's always going to be purpose behind it. There's always going to be something we learn from it. And even though their entire life, to me, like I might look at one religion and think, God, you guys are so wasting your time because this is all stupid. And because it's not stupid, it's just different for me because I know different. And so it's odd. But I always look at people and just think to myself, well, you're on this journey, so that's really cool. And sometimes I want to find out, hey, what is this doing to you, or what's happening to you, because of this, and how do you think it would be different, and so on and so forth. I think all the journeys, no matter what we are, or who we are, or what we believe, as long as you're not physically hurting people, go for it.
Yes.
Think what you want to think, and believe what you want to believe.
The same thing is when we talk about NDEs, because there's still people that believe there's nothing. You just have this lifetime You go into blackness, darkness, and you better make it right this time because there is no do-overs. We've heard this always.
Yeah.
But we know from experiencing NDEs, and like I say, I have had patients that have had a cardiac arrest in front of me. We've been able to resuscitate them, and I worked at nights most of the time. So after all the work was done, I became a nurse not to hand out pills and technical equipment and stuff. It's because I love people. And so if I had the time to go and sit and talk, and I feel so deeply blessed for people that would share these experiences that they had, and you knew they were there. You were in the room when they were basically, and I'm not being disrespectful, but flatlined, no breathing, no heart rate, nothing. And you knew from what they were telling you as they were witnessing, a lot of them shared with me they witnessed it from over top of their physical body, and OBE, basically out of body experience. But then as they traveled, say around the hospital or wherever they went, like it wasn't just the hospital. I mean, they could go to other worlds. It didn't, everybody has a unique experience. And for me, and I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on this, and I'm not being judgmental. I always say it's not my job to judge. I'm not perfect. But you will hear people say that think they know what a near death experience is. And they'll say, well, you didn't have a typical near death experience. I don't think there is a typical near death experience.
How could
Thank
there
It's
be?
you.
a typical.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just like our life
There
experiences
is
are none of our life experiences are the same. Why would
the
our
same.
near death experience be the same? Why would our any of that be the same?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I always found too, the more I didn't really think about near death experiences much until, well, I had one. So of course that first year I was like, well, I was trying to find everybody I could who had something similar. But I mean, we all have something in common. There is a commonality that's in every one of them. But there is always a difference, and it took me a long time. I used to just get frustrated, the only ones that I've ever had a hard time with, and I still do, and just only because I've researched them, I found there are a lot of fake people who are saying they have them, and they belong to certain religions or cults or
Or they
whatever.
flatline,
And
so they think that it's a near death experience. And no, it's
yeah,
not.
yeah, and you don't even have to die to have the
Exactly.
near death experience. It can come from extreme
Thank
trauma.
you. Because
People
I'm glad you said that, because I had a question about this, about what about people around those that have passed on, and there's a communication right after the death. That's almost an intertwining little thing if you think about it. And we're going to talk about that tonight.
Yeah, there is. There's a phenomenon where I can't, and I'm so hate that I can't remember what it's called. But people, let's say they'll be like family around a person at the hospital, and
Shared
they
near
die,
death.
and one or more of those people will actually almost feel the experience with them for a moment, just for a moment, and they're like, "What the heck happened?"
Yeah, there's a lot of
And it's like,
research coming out on that about shared near
yeah,
death.
that people are doing that a lot. I mean, it's
Sorry.
it's got to be strange for those people, probably even stranger, because in the near death experience, it wasn't strange to me. Well, it wasn't strange to me, but it took me an entire year to believe that it happened. And then, well, I won't go into it now, but they did something on the other side to me so they could prove that it happened to me. And some people find it sad, and it's sad, but it's true. They did something that when I was going, no, maybe that was all bull. Maybe maybe it was that drugs, maybe it was all the this and that. But then when the things happened that I was made aware of, I was like, holy cow, that is
I
Well,
apologize.
yeah.
I didn't mean to speak over. I have a bit of a delay always. So, David, I'm sorry about that. All I
That's
was
okay.
going to add was there's a lot of research I'm seeing coming out and more reports on what they're calling shared near death experiences.
That's
So
it.
Yeah,
that's all I
sure.
was adding. And then I realized, oh my God, David's still talking.
Oh, I'm glad you said it. It's hard, me. Once I start talking, it doesn't shut up
No,
until I
it's
finish.
my fault because I have a delay. So it'll seem
She
like
knows how that is.
well, no, y'all actually just tied something for me together when you said that a near death experience doesn't necessarily mean you die. And from a little bit different perspective than the shared thing, but to me, when you mentioned it could be a traumatic event, within shamanism, we learned that traumatic events can cause pieces and parts of your soul to
Yeah.
separate.
Yes.
So you leave fragments of your soul as part of that. We can do things called soul retrievals and that kind of thing.
I do
To
too.
put them back. So that was just kind of like that light bulb moment for me. So you just kind of, oh, I
and
get
you're
it.
absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up. I study
Yeah.
shamanism, and I have been for the past 8 years. And I had the reason I studied it is because during my near death, which sounds odd, I had shaman sickness, and it was the hardest thing that I had ever been through. Now everybody says to me, the people who told me that that's what it was, they were people, shamans. They said, we know it was terrible, but now you got the calling. And I said, well, it's not calling me yet. I said, I know it's there, and maybe when I'm 100 years old, I'll be a shaman. But for right now, I'm just happy studying the shamanism and doing that. But you're absolutely correct. There's parts when events are so traumatic, a piece of the soul goes out. And then shamans do what's called a soul retrieval, where they let you know that you got to kind of let that part of you know, hey, it's cool. You can come back now. Yeah, I've totally. And once you do that, you start to feel more, not more whole, because we are whole. It's almost metaphorical that that soul piece is gone, but a lot of people don't understand. Outside the physical body, we're not clumped into something if we don't want to be. We can spread out everywhere. So the soul can go away, but you got to call it back to you. I find if somebody can find a good shaman and they're having problems with that era, some kind of traumatic things, the success rate I've studied is really high for helping.
And then
people.
you can go down a whole nother rabbit hole, because I go down that too, because I'm new into the paranormal only in the last couple of years. I kind of start, we talk about residual energies and the paranormal things. Kind of, I have to wonder, is that a fragment of a soul that I'm witnessing in the paranormal?
I've got a billion theory. I got a billion theories on that, but yes, I agree with you.
Hey,
Yes, I
Sandy.
think there's something to that.
No, I mean,
That's a good question. Sorry, Howie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
it really is. Let's bring this all together tonight, because that's the whole purpose of coming together. Is I wanted to, share our experiences and gauge each other's thoughts, and because Rhonda's is different, Laura's is different, Days is different, mine's different. So I'm loving that we're pulling this all together, because we're doing a cosmic thread. What can we learn from each other? And with you, I studied shaman, but a completely different shamanism years and years ago. And I really did not go back to it. It just wasn't my calling.
I'm not, yeah, but
Yeah.
Howie, I want to throw something in really quick. I'm not studying shamanism. I wouldn't call myself a shaman, but I use soul retrieval quite a bit in my energy healing work. So I think we take aspects that fit and resonate, right? And the label we use
Yeah.
that helps us identify with the work. Don't get me wrong. You're
No,
not
no.
going to call yourself a shaman. There's work and effort going into it, but
I hear her say that all the time.
I mean, I'll say it all the time. I would never. And actually, this came from the lady that I studied with. It's like, you can call yourself a shamanic practitioner all day long. You were not born into shamanism. You are not. It's not part of your lineage to be a shaman. But you can study the practices and understand and be practicing all day long.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's pretty much what it is. Like right now, I'm just in a shamanic practicing. And I know, and I told my people, I said, when you find the right teacher, I'm more than happy to step into it fully. But up until then, I just do what I do.
And it is a calling. I can say, I'd been curious about it, but then I went to an event and there was a guy there that was doing shamanic healings, and I received one, and I can tell you it was life changing. Like the moment I walked out, I knew that this was a calling and I needed to figure it out.
you know what I just saw when you said that? Literally, it was like you went to that session and it was a key going into a lock and just opening it up.
Yep.
That's why I love this show. That's why I created this show. At the beginning of this, when I created, getting bad. At the beginning of this, when I created the Orion Effect, voices. Y'all have heard that song.
Yeah.
Voices. He talks about opening up the mind and different doors and different things, but you need a key. And in the intro, it used to say, "We're here. We're giving you the key to open your door to your mind. Open those things that are hidden." So I love that y'all use that metaphor. I was like, "Yay, finally!"
That is so weird. You brought up that song. I was just listening to it
No
yesterday. I had
way.
it in the headphones again. Yeah. Um, I when that song first came out, because I was a kid who heard voices all day long, and people would tell me I was crazy, or people would say, "Are they evil voices?" I'm like, "No, I've never heard one evil voice growing up ever. They were all very
Mm.
wonderful." But I started listening to that song, and one of my friends later on said, "So, what's up with you? What's wrong with you?" And I said, what's going on with you?" And I said, "Here, play this song." And then I just walked away. I said, "That's it, in a nutshell,
Love
that
that
song."
song. I remember hearing it for
Yeah.
the first time on Miami Vice. A lot of those songs came out of it, but that caught me too. And I was just like, wow, that kind of makes it's like the perfect ambient rock song. And I'm just like, I'm taken away. And I do a lot of craft and nifty kind of crap. We'll just say that. I like to build stuff.
So
That's
do
one of the
I.
songs. Yeah.
David does too.
See, that's one of those songs I listen to when I'm building stuff. Yet it be paranormal equipment or something on the toy line. Yes, I used to make toys. Uh,
Okay. I love it.
these different things. So I'm with you, Dave. I mean, when you hear that song, Russell Bland, it's just like, bam.
Yeah, it just makes
Mm.
sense.
You hear the
It
voices.
really does.
I did a
Yeah.
video actually. I don't didn't do a lot of teaching videos, but I have some on my YouTube channel. And one of them, I love rock music. That's why it's called the Angel Rock. Work with the angels, right? Love crystals. But the
Mhm.
whole thing is, I love a band called Hailstorm. Love them.
Oh yeah,
Listen,
I like
Yes,
it.
love them. And
Lizzie's band.
she's such an amazing singer. I've seen them 3 or 4 times live,
You're
and
probably
she
gonna
has
wake
that.
up my brother now and go, hey, she's talking about Lizzie.
Lizzie, yes, Lizzie. And
That's
so
right. We know you're infatuated, Kenny.
then she has the song "I Am the Fire,"
Mhm.
and my partner Dell is so into music, and I know, even though we know the words to a song, a lot of times we don't really listen to them, and the words of that song really inspired me. So I go through all the lyrics because it's so empowering, and I think the name of the video is why why gratitude, and I forget what else is I think powerful, but I use the power of music and lyrics to talk about it because I think it's on another level for all people because we
Yes,
connect, we come together, even if we don't speak the same language, we can all be at a concert and just be swaying in unison. The energy there, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm telling you. Like music is so powerful.
it is.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt. If you look at music, music is channeled.
Yeah.
All music, I believe all music and writing is
Yes.
channeled because everybody goes, "David, that was really pretty that you wrote that." And I'm like, "Well, I had help." But music is channeled. If you go back through the ages of music, especially the popular stuff, that music is describing stuff that's going on now. So all the music from the past, things are happening with the music now. It's like they're giving us a
Oh,
hint
I
all the
love the
time.
war.
The other side is always giving you a hint. And so now I'm paying attention to the lyrics of the songs now because I'm wondering if they're hinting to something later on, you know? Not every song, but there's a lot of
Mhm.
them.
I have to call Robert out, your brother. I was going to type it. He goes, awesome. And then he said, I made it back down to the river, hanging on Stripe Island. Oh, yes, know it well, as dust to dust by the warning. My
Mhm.
girls love the warning. If you've not checked these girls out, they're from Mexico, three sisters, young and so talented.
Kenny absolutely adores them. So I'm like, go, Robert, go. You know? I agree. And music is definitely, we were talking about that because that's a key. I think music is a key to spiritualism. And it doesn't matter what type of music, it all has a frequency. And that frequency is what we use to tune in. Yet it be Led Zeppelin, which is, you know,
Love Led Zeppelin.
my theme song, Kashmir. Come
Right.
on. Knock knock, tap 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 tap. Or be it Doors, yet it be big bands, yet it be swing, rock, hip hop. Um, there's something for everyone to help them. Um, this is kind of leading me into a full circle thing. Um, we were talking about NDE. um, I've always been very concreted into music. Rhonda can tell you that it's always played a huge part of my life. Um, In fact, when I had my NDE, I was coming from her house.
Oh, wow.
It was back in 1988, and I was driving a '84 Caprice Classic.
Wow.
I lost control of the car, took it into 4 trees.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
we're not going to get all descriptive. However, the gentleman that was with me didn't have a scratch. Oh, he did have one scratch, but I got impaled into trees. Okay,
Oh my.
he was able to pull me out of the car through the mud. Now, this is a full circle thing, and I'll tell you why. Pulled me out of the car. He was able to pull a guy over, and this is on a darker. Rhonda could tell you she used to live
I
in the.
lived out in the boondocks.
Yes, she did.
So there was not a lot of traffic.
Not at all. So we're talking at 1 o'clock in the morning. So this
Wow.
guy gets me, and they get me in the car. He didn't know how to get to the hospital, so I told them verbally how to get to the hospital. I can't see. I don't know what's going on. I'm breathing. I'm okay. Da 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 da. We get to what was then St. Luke's, and we weren't going to say the nickname of the hospital, but luckily I lived. Um, got me to St. Luke's. They got me out of the car. They got me on the stretcher. That's what I remember. Okay. As I get rolled in, I remember going through the back way into the emergency room. And I remember a woman. Oh, here we go. This is where we're starting. I remember a woman talking to me, and she was kind of flirting. Well, it felt like she was flirting, but not in a sexual way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And I could hear other guys around me. So that's like, cool. All right. I think I'm going to be okay. So, we're going back and forth. I'm being a little, okay, I'm flirting. Hey, I'm 15 or 16, 17, 17. 17, flirting away. Boom, I pass out. Um, Only thing I remember from this point was going from, I want to say, I think it was the, I don't, wherever they were taking me to the CAT scan. Um, and I remember specifically them not giving me enough air. So I moved. I still can't see. My visual audible was gone. I moved the person's hand and I started bagging myself. This is no lie. I bagged myself going to
That would
the
have been a sight to see, having worked in critical care. That would have been a
right.
sight to see.
Hilarious. Oh, it's all in the records. So I'm like, all right, cool. Get there, do my CAT scan. I'm starting to see just a little bit lights and stuff. I could see some, and I know this is the first time you've heard this, Rhonda, but I'm not going to get too descriptive because I know a lot of people it still bothers them. So I want to say I apologize, but I'm just giving the whole background.
You're good.
I have at least 7 IVs in me, whatever they are. I remember going from there and they're talking to me in the tube, and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm in Star Wars. Like, woo, I'm getting rebuilt. I'm Luke Skywalker, right? Move me from there, and they moved me to the X-ray. That's the worst thing. I would have rather done a CAT scan all day long than going into X-ray because it hurt. It hurt. Every X-ray they did hurt. I remember going out of there, and the ironic part, this is interesting because I remember that, but the respirator was put in before, but I remember it happening after the X-rays. That's just okay. I'm just being honest, and that's what I remember.
Maybe you switched timelines.
There's a theory in my family about timelines, so interesting you say that. Um, so when this happened, I remember them putting the respirator in my throat, and I couldn't handle it. I remember passing out. They put it in 3 times. They tore open my throat, but they were able to get it in. I passed out. The only thing I remember from that is being in CCU, critical care unit. I don't remember anything else. Remember what I just said, though. At the end of this, I go home about a week and a half later. It was a week and a half later. I'm on bed rest, and I'm talking to my mom. I was like, look, I really want to go back because I want to take some flowers and say thank you to the crew and all that. Well, we're talking to Dr. Edwards, and he's telling me all this, and he hands my mom, and he's talking to us, me and my mom in the room in his office, and he goes into detail about everything that happens just because he felt like I should know. and my mom was like, Granny, grab it, okay? The shotgun and everything. She actually looked like her, right? Okay, but the funny part is he was explaining how I was 3.5 minutes gone. He was explaining the whole one situation to another situation to another. Where one room, how they did everything that night, and then he said there was no lady at the stretcher. I was an entire man crew. I was like, no, no, that's not right.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, I was like, I had flowers for this woman. I know that she was there. And Dr. Edwards goes, Howard, there was no woman on your team. It was all men. I'm like, nope, 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 nope. I know that a woman was there. She had this perfect tone in her perfect tone in her voice. I could sense what she looked like. Couldn't see her, but sense the brown blondish hair, probably about 5'6", 5'7", and she was not skinny, but she wasn't like fully. You know what I'm saying? She had a proportional body. I can feel that sense. Nope, all through the records, not a single person. I went back to the ECU. Sorry, there it is. Went back to ECU, delivered the thank you, said hi to everybody, gave hugs to everybody, the whole nine. Um, and I asked everybody, I was like, was there a woman on the crew that night? And they're like, no, it was just us. It was four guys. Four guys. Wow. Okay. Everybody's NDE experience is different on development, process, and cost. Full go to court. Mm. Thank you, Robert. um, we go to court, and the state wanted me bad. I mean, they wanted me bad. Come to find out, the interesting part about all this. Now, hear this. This we're talking in '88. Okay, y'all know the culture back then. Da 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 da. Do you know who saved my ass? A gay man. And I was just like so thankful. It sounds weird now because it's part of our culture, but back then that wasn't the way. Y'all know what I mean. So I'm like, wow. And he was flamboyant, that flamboyant pink shirt and shorts and blonde, platinum blonde, short hair. And he had the whole speech and everything. And I'm like, where you been coming from Rockville? And I'm going, wow, that opened my eyes even more. Do you see the transition and the transcending of me then starting to now? Socially, spiritually, and physically. That's why I wanted to bring that up. I'm a prior NDE to that too. I don't recall a single thing. We had a pillow fight, me and Robert. There's nothing wrong with this. This is kids, okay? There were Dawn pillows, and I took in the feathers.
Oh, wow.
Blue coded, second blue code. Well, that was the first blue code. I don't remember anything from that. But I wanted to share these experiences because the next experience I wanted to share with you guys and get y'all's opinion was leading up to what we're talking about because I want us all to share our experiences. I know I'm trying to push everything into it, but hey, I'm doing the best I can. So Della just passed away 3 weeks ago. She knew I loved Warehouse 13. She loved the paranormal. There you go. She helped me with the paranormal and the supernatural. Um, and she knew the things to get to me. The day she died, at the time she died, there was, I don't know. Can y'all hear this? Can y'all hear that? Okay. And when she died, there was this. And I'm like, oh, I don't mean, I hope I didn't knock her out. Oh, there she is. Okay.
I got a phone call. Hang on, I'll message them.
Well, for anybody that doesn't know, that's the heartbeat of the Doctor Who.
Oh, wow.
I embrace the whole Time Lord factor. So she knew this. Now, a day or 2 days later, I heard the whistle. I heard someone call my name. I heard the knocking in the back warehouse, the same thing. 2 days later, after that, got a phone call from the county and state where she was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, Ottawa, on my business phone. Explain that. I can. I totally believe in the spiritual side now. I have no doubts anymore. She delivered all three signs. She knew how to get my attention when she was transcending, and she delivered what she needed to deliver. That's why we're at the forbidden door. We're talking about that now. I'm blowing that door up. And yeah, I see Kenny says, I understand how he was not drunk or high, just dropped Rond off. Thanks, Ken. No, no, I wasn't drinking or high back then. No, I was not.
I'm glad you're
State
bringing this.
state wanted me to be.
I'm just going to say quickly, I'm glad you're bringing this up because I always say very quickly, and I can't wait to hear Dave's full experience. I know you would have heard some of it, Howie, listening to our show, because yours is so profound too, Dave. But I always say I was so deeply blessed to work at the beginning of life, be there as a NICU nurse in deliveries. I worked in maternal newborn, right? And then when I worked in the community, when I hurt my back, I did a lot of technical stuff, like we did chemo and central lines and a lot of critical ventilators out in the community. But where my real passion lay was working with families as their loved one, I always say, transitioned back home in palliative care. And some of the things you're talking about it's just so impactful and powerful for our loved ones to be able to let us know from the other side. I'm going to stop because David has such a profound experience too.
Yeah, and I want Rhonda's to get in there too because there's more to NDE than just our personal experience.
I know somebody that was
Yeah.
standing in their and literally got up while they were in college, and they've had weird, strange experiences their whole life. And it was like they had an NDE. I had a guest on my previous network when I used to do a show Monday through Friday, and he claimed he was an angel from a previous lifetime.
Mhm.
Who am I to judge, right? These two were finishing each other's sentences about
Yeah.
things that they were in heaven. I don't have a copy. I wish to God I did. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Um, God, well, I won't even go through the whole thing. So I knew I was going to die. So I had asked for it. My whole thing. It was end of 2004. Saw the ghost. We lived in haunted houses all my life. So from age, all the stuff I seen all the way up to I was like 13, 14. And then when I got about 17, I didn't want any part of any of it anymore. I wanted to have a regular life. And it was very difficult to have a regular life at this point with me. It was terrible before, but I tried. They were always there, always present, always helped me. Long story short, I ended up being put on anxiety medications and all that for like 20 years. I was part of the Prozac Nation because they thought that's what was wrong with me. And I was letting them, I guess, maybe that's why I'm freaking out all the time. But it wasn't. I was feeling everybody's everything. I was like empath 0.20. So everything. So I was just going crazy. So that's how they decided to do that. Um, towards about 2013 or so, I started hooking back up with some more spiritual people and doing stuff. And all my life, people are like, "How come you know these things?" Or "How come you know?" They'd have to ask me questions. Dave knows. He knows. I'm like, I don't know how I know. But anyway, I tried to go back into it, and then I met a bunch of people who I did not really care for as far as spiritual people. They were like killed my entire dream because I found out how fake these people were. They were just wannabes. They didn't know what they were doing. It was just terrible. And then I met some other cool people that was going well. And Sandra Sharp was part of the cool crew right before I went into what happened. I didn't want to be here anymore. I had a really bad seizure. They'd put me in the hospital 3 or 4 times a week with these tremors and all this from the anxiety that was so strong, and have to just put me on all these pills. And one day towards about October it was in 2014, I just got out of the house. My parents, everybody was going. I just had like one of the worst attacks with no medication. I was drinking everything I could to try to stop it, just to pass out or something, and it wasn't working. And it got real bad till I was shaking on the floor. And finally, I wore myself out, woke up, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. Please let me come back. Kept going, God, I'm coming back. I want to come back. I want to come back. I want to come back. And after that, I was very quiet. A couple months later, I started to get sick. And then I got sicker and sicker. I didn't know what was wrong. And it got to the point I couldn't walk. My parents took me to a doctor who misdiagnosed me. He just said, "Oh, he's just got a cold." And this, he didn't do anything. I mean, I literally wasn't walking anymore. And at this point, it was 240 pounds too. Um, about a
He
week.
doesn't even look the same. You
Yeah,
don't even look the
yeah,
same.
I don't look like. I don't. My hair, everything's different from. But
Transition.
I went. I was in the bedroom. Anytime I ate, drank, smelled anything air, I threw up. It was disgusting. Something was wrong. I just knew I was going to go. And one day, the walls were breathing, and I made my way out of bed. I got into my parents' family room, and my little brother walked in, and he said, "What you look like?" Well, he didn't say that. He said "sh." He said, "You look like that," and I said, "Yeah." Well, I said, "I'm going to die now," and I fell to the floor, and then I woke up 2 months later. So during that time, apparently I had sepsis, and 70% of my left lung was covered in infection, and they didn't know how long the sepsis had been in my body, and thought that probably went to my brain, and that they were probably going to have to put me in a home. Um, I had literally almost no pulse for a month. I mean, it was like every day. And then I guess apparently I died on the operating table a little bit. That's a whole other story how I got to that. But in the near death, part of my near death was I was talking about the signs, how they do what you're talking about. I was in a place, and I can't really describe it, but I was in a place of knowing. So I was knowing everything. I was literally plugged into the universe. And part of that knowing was I remember the scenario where I kept telling my parents, don't let that little dog out. We had a little dog named Toto, and then they had two other huge dogs. I said, don't let the dog out, it's gonna get killed. And then later on, it switched over, and I heard my mom screaming and crying, and I said, she's dead, isn't she? I said, how many times did I have to tell you she's dead? You let her outside. And then later on, I had another one with my older brother. It was kind of metaphorical, but they kept, in my near death, they kept telling me I had to come back, or telling me why. And they said, well, me and my brother were trying to get on a rocket ship, funny enough, to go to outer space. And I was like, why are you showing it to me like this? And it's like, it's the only way you're going to understand it. So I didn't get to go on the ship. They said, you can't go. There's stuff you have to do, but your brother's going to go. And he got on the ship, it took off, and then it blew up. And I remember just standing there going, well, what happened? He said, it blew up. I said, what does that mean? He said, your brother died. You have to go back. And I thought, what? That's odd. Switched to not long after the coma, and I got back home and everything. There's more to it, but what they did to prove it to me about a couple months after I came back up, and the following year, Toto got outside and the dogs ripped her apart and killed her. Just like they showed me the dog was going to die, and she died in my arms. And the next morning, I got a beautiful gift. I had just woke up, and I had like this, where in the hell was I? I had this dream that I was like at the ground level, like that dog. And I was like her for that moment, running around the yard. And I ran to my parents' barn, and there's a toy in there. I ran to these bushes. There's another toy over there I saw. And then there's under a bush on the other side of the yard, there's another like a stick thing laying there. And as soon as I woke up, I'm like, that was weird. I was compelled to go outside and walk that yard just like I just did. And I walked to the barn, and I looked down, there was the ball. Then I walked over to the bushes, there was the other ball. Then I went to the third place, I dug a little bit in the ground, there was the sticks. And I'm like, the gift was she let me know I'm okay. And she let me see what it was like to be her for that moment, to prove. And then a couple months after that, my brother suddenly got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and a brain tumor. And they said he had 6 months to live, and he made it 4. And I was struggling during this. I'm like, why did I know about the dog, and why is my brother dying all of a sudden? I was so angry. I was like, why did you let me know this? I was PO'd, yelling at God, yelling at everybody. And then he died, and a couple months later, I started to go on with my life, and I was crying, and I was just sitting there, and I said, why did you let me know that? Why did you do that? And then they said to me, it was clear as day. They said, we wanted you to know that because you wouldn't have believed where you were. And I said, oh, so you killed my dog and my brother, so I know it was. I laughed. I mean,
I can see your point.
But it's true. It wasn't until that moment, almost a year later, that I was like, oh wow, okay, so everything was true, because I sat there a year confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, the signs come in. I mean, you never know what they're gonna do.
Exactly. And for some people, they're like, why are y'all laughing at? I was like, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the symbolism because I'm going, it makes me chuckle because they gave you a path and you're just like, hey, you're going to know this because of this, this, and this.
Yeah,
And you're going,
hey, on the upside, I'm a medium. I talk to my brother all the time. So I mean, my brother's here all the time. I get signs from him constantly.
He's so cool.
Go ahead. I'll let you go, Rhonda.
I haven't had an NDE. I have not.
no, but the reason I pulled you in because your experience with your father and your mother when they passed, it's beautiful, but
Yeah.
that to me is
The
still,
big symbolism about my dad passing. This is actually really funny. We took our landline out of our house a long time ago, like years ago. But we still had a couple of phones just kind of plugged in. We didn't use them anymore. They were just there. And my dad, in my adult years, I used to travel a lot for work. He would call every Sunday night, like clockwork. If I didn't answer, he would keep calling until I answered because he wanted to know where I was going, when I was leaving, and when I was going to be back. And that was one of the hard things when he passed, is not getting that phone call. And actually, I take that back. The phone was there until he passed. It wasn't long after he passed. We'd kind of taken that phone line out. And he would always call on the house phone. He would eventually call my cell phone, but he always called the house phone. And I remember very distinctly one night just kind of saying, I would do anything to hear that phone ring one more time. And he's just calling to say, where you going, when you going to be back, when you leaving. A couple weeks later, that phone started ringing for no apparent reason. And I would answer it. I would hear static on the line. I'd hang up. 5 minutes later, phone would ring again, and I would answer it. I'd say hello, and I'd hang up. And this went on all night. Finally, I unplugged all the phones in the house, and it was still ringing.
He's making sure you know you.
And at that point, I wasn't connecting the dots. I'm calling the phone. I'm like, why? It turned out there was this short somehow in the line that was causing it. But, I knew finally I was like, okay, yeah, I did say I would do anything to hear that phone ring one more time.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, he was 100% letting me know that it was him, because there's no way that phone should have been ringing, especially when, like most haunted houses, there's nothing plugged into the wall anymore.
Yeah.
So that's a good point because I want to get to Lorilei, but I do want to ask this. There is something that I'm seeing. There is a pattern. I would say all of us have experienced, if not lived in or in the world of the paranormal. I was raised in a haunted home. It seems like everywhere I lived, I've had activity or haunted activity. We'll just use that. That'll sound good. I don't care. And Rhonda's always had experiences with the spiritual. David, sounds like your childhood was filled with paranormal activity. And Lore, would you?
Okay. Mine was what happened was so when I was about almost 3 years old, apparently I had a head full of ringlets, these brown little ringlets, right? And I used to get strep throat and what have you. And I guess one night I was so sick, my fever was almost 105, and I started seizuring. And my parents weren't living where we are. They were living in Sault Ste. Marie. There's a Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and in Ontario. We were in Ontario. And by the time I was born in 65, so there was no 911 or anything. So my parents would scoop me up as I'm seizing, bring me to the hospital. And by the time I got there, of course, the seizure was over. So they wouldn't do anything. I think it was about the fourth time it happened. I guess I had a massive seizure, the way I've been told the story, right in the emergency room. So they wouldn't let my parents go in the back room. Apparently, I was back there for a couple hours and I was in the hospital for about a week. But my mom said, get a load of this one. I've never seen this as a nurse either. She said my hair the next day went completely poker straight. From all curls, completely poker straight. I do believe I've had an NDE as a toddler. And some of the things I can explain, um, like when we try, you'll hear somebody that's had an NDE try and explain love on the other side. That word doesn't even touch it compared to what the sensation is. When people talk about the music on the other side, I can hear it, I understand it. The colors, the words don't even begin to touch what the color. We don't even have words for some of the colors on the other side. It's like I can see it. So it starts coming back in bits and pieces. As for the paranormal, I always say I was raised Roman Catholic. And I was forced to go to Catholic school and church and what have you. Never really bought into it. Just couldn't. I'm not bashing it. If people need it, that's great. That's wonderful. You do you. Wasn't for me. But like I said, I had that experience. And again, it's almost like every time somebody starts to talk, backing up a little bit about an NDE, I identify with it. It's like I can see it, and another piece is unlocked from when I was. I mean, I'm going to be 58 in August, so that was like what 55 years ago. But it's like pieces are being unlocked, and I can feel, I can see it. We were
Pieces of
living
puzzles
in,
and puzzles of pieces.
yes, and so what happened was we were living in a home. I would have been about probably 4 or 5. We were back in Thunder Bay at that time, so that would have been about 1969, 1970. This house was so old. I remember my parents were renovating. My mother had to steam off 37 layers of wallpaper to get to the plaster. So I
That's
was,
great.
I was up, yep, I was up in my bedroom, and I always say back in the 70s, right? That funky wallpaper, all in purples. I still remember
Oh
this.
yeah.
And these gauzy curtains. And my parents, my mother would have beat my butt if I had gotten out of bed. So I don't know when it was. Everybody was asleep. It was raining and crashing and thundering. And I woke up. And because it was very gauzy curtains, you could see with the moonlight. And at first I thought it was a tree hitting the window. I swear to God to you, it was like a claw when I looked again, just scratching down the window. And then all I remember doing is hiding under my covers, going, please don't touch me, please don't touch me, please don't hurt me. Something grabbed me and pinched me really hard, not quite on the butt cheek, but a little higher up. But I've had the paranormal around me my whole life. So moving forward, I had that. That's my earliest experience remembering. When the summer I was 7, turning to 8, and I've never gotten what the answer is why this happened. We moved into a brand new home, and nobody had lived there. It had been built from the ground up. From the time the snow melted until it fell again, so for about 6 months, every single night at 3 a.m., and I knew nothing about the paranormal, I would wake up unable to breathe. Like something was choking me. I was blue. There were so many times I completely stopped breathing. I didn't want to go to sleep. I was terrified. And it seemed whenever my father would pick me up, scoop me up, get me in the car away from the house, I'd start breathing again.
Wow.
And so they diagnosed me with asthma, for lack of another thing. I haven't had anything quite that similar. My previous home, a lot of paranormal experiences, but I will share this. I live with one of my best friends I've known since she was 15 or 16 before we first got married to my first husband I was with, and her husband she's still with. And we never talked about the paranormal, nothing like that. And when I told her what I do now, connecting with her, she said to me, and I just about fell off my chair. She goes, Laura, I'm not surprised at all. She goes, when I lived with you, you would know things that I wouldn't know. How the heck you would know them, but you would know them. I can tell you as a nurse, some of the experiences I have had as a nurse, and I know it was my guides and my patients' guides, a room I would never go into. I'd walk right in there and someone would keel over. It would have been the last room of 60 patients. I would have checked on nights. Another experience, I had a lady that was supposed to go home. She'd been in the hospital for stomach pain. She lived 3 hours up north, and she was supposed to get on the bus at 6:30 in the morning. And again, if I finished my work, I would spend my time with patients that were awake at night. You're afraid, you're scared, you're in a strange place. Even though the doctor might try and explain to you what's going on, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I just looked at her and I mean, I remember this. I'm getting goosebumps. It's not cold telling you this. And I knew there was something not right. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it. And I kept going in there. Thank God that woman did not get on that bus, because she had an aneurysm that blew right in front of me when I walked in the room. There were so many things that happened as a nurse. And I don't know if there was something that unlocked this psychic or intuitive gifts. One on my dad's side, my grandmother knew the moment her third son died in a car accident, to the second. So that's my experiences. Don't know if it came from the NDE or not, but it's like I can understand it, I can see it, and it unlocks. Every time I hear somebody's story about, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And the ironic part is the average of our social community of who we are now, the average of someone having a paranormal experience is 90%, but only 40% acknowledge it.
Yeah, or recognize
that,
it.
It's crazy. I want to read this real quick. Sandra deserves to be read. My mom had had that happen a year after my stepdad passed. Then she follows up with, what's really weird about my mom's case was that her landline caller ID showed up on her TV screen, and the number ringing through was her own number.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
And then how in these things we hear often, but it's never spoken about, hence the forbidden door. That's why we're talking about it tonight. I know we're gone over a little bit, but this is going to happen. That's why Rhonda, I'm trying to talk, you guys. Let me lower it down.
I didn't know you invited your sister, Howie. I'm just kidding.
Oh well,
Just kidding.
Hi.
I'm jealous though. Y'all all lived in paranormal houses, and I never had it, but I will say I've just always known that it was real. Like I never questioned. I never wondered, like, are houses haunted? Are there ghosts? Are there this? Is there spirits? I just knew there was.
Not to cut you off, but you may not remember, but I remember the conversations you and I had when we were teenagers. The house may not have been haunted, but you had travelers coming to see you.
Yeah.
You would tell me about the dark figures that would pass through your house, and you would see.
See, I blocked all that stuff out.
I remember that. Unfortunately, it's a curse and a.
You do. You have a memory. Like how it would be like, don't you remember it was June 1987? I'm like,
yeah.
Wow.
She did like, nope.
Rhonda,
sure I was there, but nope.
Don't you think, Rhonda, that, I mean, especially when you're a medium, and Laura Lee will attest to this too, when you're a medium, it's like every house is basically haunted.
Yeah. Yes.
We bring the shit.
Yes. Yeah. And that's something I question now. It's like, people will talk about, like, we need to investigate to see if this house is haunted. And I'm like, aren't all pieces of land and houses haunted by something?
Yeah.
Like, isn't there
David, I like the tail that's growing out of your head.
Yeah, you've been crazy.
The baby.
BYOB for a medium. Bring your own booze.
Yes. Yeah. Crown Royal.
Yeah. Oh, I love Crown Royal.
That's Fireball.
And Fireball too. No way. I don't drink very often, but if I drink, it will either be Crown Royal or vodka or Fireball.
Yeah, I'm
Vodka.
Crown Royal or vodka.
Hey,
Yeah,
Nikki.
There you go.
Tito's a Crown Royal.
Right? See, there's a
I don't drink very often, but if I'm gonna have a drink, I love that.
There it
Okay.
is. And sometimes,
Yeah.
it's okay when we do investigate and when it's medically proven that it's actually healthy to take a shot of liquor before you investigate or before you go into your spiritual, because it's medically healthier for us because it calms us down. So I just silver tequila. Oh, there you go. So this is something that's cool. I mean, when our teams get out there, if somebody says, "Hey, I want to catch a drink an hour before the investigation," I'm okay with that. I didn't used to be. I used to be like, "No, you can't," because of da 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 da. But then I got into the scientific side 9 years ago and realized there is proof in this that a certain amount is good for you to keep your body calm and soothe your senses. Soothe your senses.
Yeah, you can't block them, but you can sue them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey Heather. Hey Heather, how are you? Good to see
Hi,
you.
Heather.
She does ask a question. How would you explain night terrors? Oh,
You can't. They're very personal. They're pretty much just like NDEs, a night terror. I would say
Agree.
you never know with the night terror. I would personally say, Heather, thank you. I would personally say go back through your day. Go back through your day before you go to bed, because I think the night terrors, if they're happening to you or if they're happening to other people, a lot of times we unconsciously hold it in the back of our head. We kind of set ourselves up for it. We give it permission. And I don't think all night terrors necessarily have to be evil. Some of them could just be. I've had many stories where I've had some dark and nasty stuff come to me, but it wasn't to be evil. It was to snap me out of something, and which it did. And I think sometimes that's what night terrors are, but I don't know why people actually get them. I think they're kind of subconsciously there, and I also think that maybe the other side's letting you experience this for a reason too.
yeah.
Now,
That's
I'm gonna explain.
I
Oh,
was
go
going to
ahead,
say,
Rob.
sometimes with night terrors, depending on what the terror is or how it's affecting you, sometimes I think it's exactly what you said, David. And sometimes I think it's astral projection and just being
Mhm.
suddenly afraid because you can't move and you don't know where you are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna explain it a little different.
Okay.
With night, no, I agree with both of you, just from a different perspective, because I agree with both of you wholeheartedly. And before I forget, we have a new host in our network, Carrie Lynn, sorry. She has Spirit Switchboard. She just had a dream specialist on there that deals with this type of stuff. So she's got a really interesting perspective. But where I'm familiar with night terrors is with small children. And part of what I think could be happening, including agreeing with exactly what David and both of you said, is that it's almost like some people will report being almost like in a past life as well, like reliving, especially children going through a night terror. And a lot of people, I don't have a lot of experience with adults going through night terrors, but I know as a child, like it's literally like the child is not there. I have heard of adults experiencing it too. Like you're just about unreachable when you're in a night terror. Like you are literally on a different planet, if you will. And again, can it be from what you're going through, maybe what you're not dealing with, something that you need to experience, a fear maybe you're going through in your everyday life that you're not really dealing with, so you can explore it in the dream state. There's many different reasons for it, but it's definitely terrifying for, say, somebody that loves you, regardless of your age, to experience a night terror if your child or your loved one is going through. And I can say that.
I'm going to step up on the other side from all three of you and go absolutely. And I agree with all three of you. But I'm going to add that little corner in. I love this little pie thing we got going on. I tend to look at it from a science point of view. So I have to look at the psychological and sociological side of this. A lot of my studies I did in um, college was dealing with a lot of the, when I use this and I go this a lot because this is one of my favorite studies, I go back and I think about Virginia, Dr. Edwards, and his study with his group, which we all know who his group is. I'm not even going there because everybody's going to like, oh, I love that movie, blah, blah, blah. All right, nevertheless. On a, did anybody just hear that? Was that, Dave, you got a bird?
I heard the bird.
Okay.
No, I hear it though.
Okay, that was weird. All right.
I think it's outside my house, actually.
Okay.
I just heard it.
Already? We're not even at the cabin. Can you imagine it like at the cabin tonight? Oh my God. Anyway, so on a psychological point of view, on the science side, not all, but some cases are based on neurology, subconscious effect in the neurological synapses firing, where we think we're being held back, where we've had a trauma that's brought forth. And when we wake up in a conscious, non-aggressive state. Now, that's not all, but in most cases, it is interesting how this takes place. God, I feel better, but my voice is going. This sucks.
Well, she also asked about sleepwalking. Is it associated with that too? But like I said, you know what, Heather, I know who Heather is. I'm going to send you that podcast. And for anybody that's listening, I'm not trying to plug her network, but this
No,
guy
it's
was
fine.
really good. He was her guest, Carrie Lynn, that she had on. I was producing that show. She's one of our newest hosts, and so I watched the show in case you need any help or anything like that, right? Producing
Yeah.
behind the scenes. And I really like what he was talking about it because he was coming from nightmares, why we have recurring nightmares, sleepwalking, all right now what you're asking, Heather. And there's many different reasons why he said the reason behind sleepwalking. And again, I think it depends where you are in the dream state. We're supposed to not be able to, well, sleep paralysis
Sleep paralysis
is
is
a
different.
different thing.
Completely different.
I don't know if I agree with sleep paralysis all the time either, because this is
Not
where I'm
all the
going
time.
with this. Like,
Sleep paralysis, well, in the spiritual world or pseudo spiritual world, everybody's got a demon on their chest trying to kill them. And then in some spiritual things, it's when our body astral travels, it comes back to the body too fast. That's one. And then the other reason is when you sleep.
Greatest American hero.
Yeah, exactly. When you sleep, your body's put into paralysis so you don't act out your dreams. And
okay, can I pause you right there for 1 sec, Dave? That's what I was just going to say about sleepwalking. Sometimes, depending what you're eating, what you've experienced during the day, whatever it may be, it's like it knocks out that you're not supposed to be able to act out your dreams.
Right.
Sleepwalking. Thanks. Sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to have
that's
that.
it. And that's what I usually tell people when a lot of times when people tell me the demon thing, I'm like, no, usually it's not that. I mean, I'm not going to say that hasn't happened to people, far be it from me. But I just tell people, if your mind wakes up before the body's still in paralysis. It's going to feel like you're being smothered. Your brain has nothing else to think is that something's on top of me. And so I think that's what that is most of the time. I mean, astral travel, if any of you astral travel, which I know you do, how many times have you went on an astral travel and you remembered and you got back to your body too fast, or you slammed in there? You're like, holy shit.
That's what I was talking about. I'm Greatest American Hero. For landing.
Oh, okay, yeah, that happens. That happens a lot. Well, sorry we interrupted you, Howie, with what you were saying before.
It's true. It's true. I want to acknowledge Nikki real quick. She did say that certain alcohols, if you lower your system, can encourage possible other entities to come in because you're lowering your system. I get your point, and I can see where you're coming from.
I have several of my friends that have been on their spiritual journey now. They're psychics and mediums, and some of them don't want to drink anymore because they don't like to not be in control of themselves.
Yeah, I don't drink at all anymore, and I used to drink tons, but that's part of my NDE too. That was knocked out. I have no memory of it, but I don't do anything before readings or anything before anything anymore, just because of the fact I do know from experience, even when I was wasted, they were still talking to me and I could still understand it. But I'll say this, I don't care who you are different though, especially in mediumship. You have adjusted something in your head. So the information you get is probably accurate, but it's going to be filtered through you different because of the alcohol. So that's why I don't do it. But paranormal investigating, trust me, if I could have a cocktail, I'd have a shot before I went half the time. But I don't. But I can't. When I go in there, I have to be really clear. You got to think with the medium. Like I don't use one Claire. Every Claire's used. So if I'm drunk, I've got to be able to feel it, hear it, see it, sense it, smell it, taste it. I got to.
Oh my God, you guys! I'm not talking about taking a 6-pack. I'm just a single shot.
No, but the thing is,
We're talking
right?
about
Like even with
mediumship.
even with the Akashic records, my mentor, she made it a rule and taught us that when we're reading Akashic records specifically, that we are to encourage our clients not to imbibe or smoke anything or take anything for 24 hours before. But I want to add something. Spirit gave me this, and I really, really believe in this. What we perceive or what we've been told becomes what we believe, and it becomes our reality. It becomes very self-limiting. So if you believe this is going to happen, if you do A and B is going to happen, so if you have even 6 shots and you believe, okay, that you're more than likely, like attracts like energy, everything's energy, you're going to bring it to you.
Manifest.
So instead of if you think I'm limitless, not coming from a place of ego, because we are so powerful, and I feel that that's part of the reasons why I'm here for myself and not coming from ego, but to remind people of who you really are.
Yes.
That's part of like my theory of why there are ghosts. Like people always ask me, what makes the ghost? Well, I have a theory about it, which I think I'm pretty right. I won't go into it now. But
let's go on the next time.
Let's go with it, because I tell you what, I would love to hear that, because I struggle a little bit sometimes with, like tonight I had a little bit of a light bulb, but I still struggle. Like, what's the difference than me
I can tell you
somebody
take me
talking
2
to me and a
seconds.
ghost sitting in front of me talking on a box? Like, what's
Okay,
the difference?
it'll take me 2 seconds to explain this. If you think about it, just from NDEs, Howie knows this, Lorilei knows this. What we first see when we go over, not even an ND, but a regular, is going to be based off your beliefs usually. Like I didn't have a belief about heaven, so I just got to see it straight on wherever they were showing me. I was cool with that. There are so many ghosts, especially the ones I talk to, religious beliefs. There are so many ghosts that do not cross over because their belief is so concrete that they did something bad and they're going to go to hell. They will not go. And I swear there are other guides and everything else and running going, okay, dude, no, that's not true. But they have to let you sit and go through whatever you need to. But I think ghosts are caused not because they want to be, but because fear of going all the way over, or physical attachments. They love their body that much. They don't want to use it. They maybe love drugs a lot, or they love drinking a lot. They're not ready to get rid of that attachment. So that keeps them there. And there might be some who simply just aren't realizing it yet, and they're just maybe satisfied where they are at this moment. Because I've always had the strong belief is there's no such thing as a stuck spirit. Every spirit has the ability to move on some way, either by a medium telling them, or by a guide telling them, or something. But there is always a choice. That may appear stuck though, because they don't want to move on. And they may say, hey, I'm stuck. And then that's all we got to say is, no, you're not. You can go do this. And then someone will stay. But that's my theory of why there's so many ghosts right now. And they're always in that period, period ghosts. You never see anybody dressed up like Britney Spears going, boo. You don't do that. It's always a ghost like from 3,000 years ago or 300 years ago. There's no such, and we all know that that's not true.
I will be the Pero streaker when I pass. I'll come and I'll do it naked.
You wondered how or Lorilei or anybody that we don't contract that into our soul contract. Maybe we want to experience that. No, not the streaking, but the
ghost. Welcome to our world.
Yes.
I acknowledge Nikki and some of the things she's saying. She got her. I got her on that one. That's great. But she's got a good point. Even Sasquatch don't want humans to be anything more than the normal prescription. Found that one out that hard way. They didn't even want me to uh, taking nasal decongestions because it made it very. Let me put that back in there so I can read it. Very clear that any of the effects of the brain, even minorly, heck of an education when I was in the communication with them. Oh, makes perfect sense, and I get that too. I totally accept that. But we're over a little bit. We're over a little bit, which is okay because Ron and I said we're giving it a cushion. We're not going to say
I apologize. I thought we were
no,
going till
don't.
9, so I'm
Oh yeah, I
sorry.
thought you had a
No.
6-hour show. I'm just going.
No,
on.
no, some people want that. But no, we go 7 to 8. But if we go
I'm
over,
sorry.
we're okay with that.
No,
No,
we're doing good with like if it's rolling, let's
we
go.
go. We go. And but I can tell y'all right now, I can't go much longer.
Yeah, your voice is fading.
I'm on the way out. But I would like to invite y'all to come back and let's do this again. Let's do another Forbidden Door.
Anytime.
Sure.
Love it. It was an
Absolutely.
honor. Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you so much.
Well, with
I always
saying
have free time now.
oh, there you go. I'll have to make it out a date in a couple of months to do this again.
Okay.
But with saying that, I want to say something because Laura, you brought it up. You don't want to talk about their network, but let's give it a little prop. No, you do. And I'm going to tell you why. We're all one big family. Rhonda works with the vibe and she's here. It's just like paranormal teams. Her primary team is FPRI, but she's a member of ASBS.
No, I'll talk about it. I
Mhm.
just don't want to seem like because I do want to. I'm
Yeah.
proud of it. I just don't want to cram it down. I knew there was a time and place is what I need. So I'll be
Right.
happy to talk about it.
But we're all family. We're all family. And
Absolutely.
that's one of the things I wanted to say is it doesn't matter what network or nut show. We're all doing this together. And if we're helping one person somewhere, then we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
We always give you, I know I do, because I appreciate, like I said, you're exactly that, but I'm going to use an older term, but para unity, right? But that's, we're all in this together. So yeah, help each other out.
Unity amongst like-minded people.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to go with that. And with that, travelers and those like, thank you so much for tuning into this. As you heard, we will do the Forbidden Door again. Please tune into tomorrow night with Joni Templeton Skinner and the amazing Keith Ottersberg. Both their shows will be on tomorrow night. And then Tuesday night will be Mama Raven with the Ravens Flock. And be ready for the new shows that are getting ready to come out because we have a lot more to give to you now. And with the network expanding, have these two on and check their shows out. Let's give them a plug. Plug it out one more time.
Okay, so I have a show on Monday nights on UFO Paranormal Radio. You can you can watch on Facebook or YouTube. It is UFO Paranormal Radio Network on both Facebook and YouTube. We are on Roku. I forgot to mention we have a Roku TV channel. To find that, you're going to go to the channel store on Roku, type in UFO space P as in paranormal, look for about the third one down, and it'll say UFO space Paranormal United Public Radio. We're both known by both names. You can also see us streaming, and there's backup with Dave's YouTube channel, The Spirit Experience, also on my YouTube channel, the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. And tune in, because what I do want to add, guys, very quickly, is that this network has been around for over 25 years. And so what we've got all new shows. We've got oldie moldies like me and a few even older. Even our owner of the network, Joe Montaldo, does his own shows, UFO Undercover. And if we're not streaming, we have shows back to back, like 5, 6, 7 shows in a row. The archive server's going. So we are playing 24 hours a day, and we do stream on 105.3 and 107.7 out in New Orleans, Louisiana.
There you go.
Oh, I forgot to mention me and Dave. Sorry, God.
Yeah,
and
no,
our,
right?
our show together, we do the thing at the foot of the bed on Thursday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come hang out with us, because you know what? Dave and I started this show. We start with a topic now, and we involve all of y'all. So when you're in the chat, whatever you guys want to talk about, we let you know. We're not experts, but from our own personal experiences and what we receive from Spirit, we're going to answer it to the best of our abilities. And we involve everything you have to say. We bring you right into the chat. We can't bring you on the screen, but we bring you in and we talk how we can vouch for that, right?
Just like here. Exactly. The format's
Very cool.
exactly like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. One more thing, Rhonda. We never get your plug. We got to get your plug. What do you got coming up?
What do I have coming up? I have an investigation on Friday and Saturday night next weekend at Hamilton High School. Friday night is a short investigation. I think it's 6 to 10 or 7 to 10. We're doing a kids only night. So if you're a parent and you never get to go do paranormal investigation because you've got your kids, then you're welcome to come with your child. I think
love
he
it.
set it at like 10 to 16 years old. So it'll be a kids night. We're just going to kind of show them how to use equipment and have a little fun.
I
And then we've
love
got a
it.
full-on investigation on Saturday night. Got that coming up. Then I think that's all we have for FPRI until August, I think. We'll
Do
be
you
back.
stream them, Rhonda? Do you stream them online when you do the
Actually, on
investigation?
Fredericksburg Paranormal Research and Investigation, he does stream from time to time. So
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, I'd
yeah,
love to
you
see
go
it.
live.
Perfect.
Yep.
So check out this amazing family that we've got going on. Travelers and those like, as I always say, grab your surfboard. If you see a traveler down, put your hand out. Get them on their board. Get them back to the beach, the cosmic beach, or get them back to their board. We're in this together. Don't let somebody fall. Doesn't matter if they're a traveler or not. We're in this together. Virtue be yours, guys. Have a wonderful night. Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for
so
having
much.
us. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.